I'm going to try to do something a little different today. I'm going to make a drawing, possibly a painting, although I'm holding the phone to take this, and I don't know if I can do this while holding a phone and drawing. But anyways, I'm going to try. So that's the new thing. Now, it's a little hard to actually see a couple of things at the same time here. Wow. Just outside of Port Hope. I'm using paper that I normally use to paint on. It's not as smooth as what I normally draw on, but it should be okay if I leave this just as a drawing. We'll see. I'm using a pencil that is a mechanical pencil. You can see that. That is softer. I can't remember. I can never remember. You know, HB, 2B, all that crap. I can never remember those things. But it's a little softer than. I also use a harder one in combination. Well, I guess I should show you that. That's what I'm looking at. And it's starting to drizzle a little, so let's see how this works out. I think I'm just going to make a drawing because it's too hard to... Although I will try next time. I will try to make a painting too, but this board is up here, so I don't have to hold the board. It's being on the steering wheel. So I don't have to hold the board, but I mean, I'll have to mix paints and such and move trays around. That gets a little complicated. So we'll see if I can do that. I'll try one. It would be better if I could actually get like a GoPro mounted on my head or something for these small pieces. There's a lump there in the drawing board that's making that part hard to draw. Okay. I'm never really very accurate. I just want to get a composition. But I am looking. And as I'm drawing, I'm concentrating on the quality of line to the quality of mark. I like to leave a lot of marks visible and not messed with, you know, let the expression of the gesture show. I'm also concentrating always on dividing up darks and lights. Oh, what the hell did I do here? Okay. You see, there's where it's never accurate and I never worry about it. I think my pencil needs a little tightening here at the moment. Fortunately, I don't have an extra hand though, so I'll leave it. It's the first time I bought a Tim Hortons coffee in it. God, a couple of years, I think. I'm waiting for it to cool down. Normally I bring a drink with me, but today I got coffee. Lucky me. The nice thing about looking and recording, or responding, maybe recording is not the right word because I'm not actually recording, but looking and responding is that it's directing your mark making. So while you are actually concentrating on abstraction, you're not being totally inventive with it. So that's actually, it kind of frees you up in a way. Sometimes when you're working entirely non-objectively, you can feel a bit of a fraud because you're making things that are, beautiful shapes and beautiful lines and beautiful marks. But they are kind of all alone. They're not referencing anything. And they may or may not correspond to feelings that you have. There's that old argument that abstract art is all about feeling, but it can also become purely decorative and also just about prettiness, as opposed to any kind of a deeper communication. Well, I like when trees, they have the whole range, of extremely dark to extremely light, to like tracery lines, to lattice work. It's just everything in reality has beautiful expression and beautiful abstraction. So, looking at things is good for abstract artists or artists who are interested in abstraction, like me, for example. Because that whole range of beautiful marks and beautiful shapes is there. Now, I was planning on actually stopping and starting this recording, but there's no need to at the moment because I can see the camera, I can see the phone, I can see what I'm drawing. I'm drawing slower than I normally would because I'm talking and I'm trying to do a couple of things at the same time. So I would normally be speedier, which is all right too. This paper is interesting because it does have that extra tooth that I'm not used to when I'm making drawings. Normally I'll make a drawing for the paintings, but it'll be a line drawing. It'll be very brief, and it will show some divisions into dark and light, but not many. Oh, this is also where I would normally use a straight edge now. But I didn't want to put the camera down, so. And I also would likely change my pencil a little more than I am now because I don't have the extra hand. But a soft lead like this, on a small surface like this, it can get kind of fuzzy, not as crisp as a darker line. Wow, look at those clouds. That's crazy. Beautiful. Yeah, I said before, a person could paint skies forever and not get tired of it. That's really quite beautiful, the way those dark trees are there with the sky. Let's see if I can get the sky really quite dark without losing the composition. Oops, sorry, I'm off the picture there. Yeah, it is kind of hard just doing this. I'm trying to do two things at once. If anybody has any suggestions on how to photograph this, you think a GoPro would work on my head? But then who knows? I mean, you do have to look at the camera, sort of figure things out, don't you? Make sure you're in the frame. Oh, I love these crazy edges in the sky. They're not actually edges. Yeah, normally when I do the drawings, I hold them in my lap. I don't actually... I do the paintings with the paper clamped to the wheel, but not the drawings. I have the drawings on my lap, and that actually gives me more mobility. Ooh, wow. Dramatic skies. Jesus. They change so much. Just switch pencils here for a minute. I'm using a mechanical pencil with a fairly soft lead. This one is a little harder. Let's make sure I actually have some lead there. So, I don't know if you can see that it's harder. Makes it's very interesting where trees meet the ground. And I'm not doing a lot of it, but why it's interesting is because the character of lines and edges changes dramatically in that area where the ground meets whatever, trees or something else. Edges, the character of edges is very important. The character of darks and lights is very important. I don't really have, you know what, I'll just go nuts here and strengthen the darks. I don't really have enough darks. I'll do that too. Strengthen that on the bottom. Geez, I missed a lot of stuff. That's all right. When I make these drawings, one of the interesting things is how do you preserve composition and interest when large areas meet other large areas. There needs to be some sort of a shift to preserve the composition. So how do you preserve the range of darks and lights? So normally this, if this is dark, this would be even darker and this would be light. So from the major divisions of shapes, some breakup in dark and light has to happen to compose with. Otherwise you get, you can have great line variety, which is helpful, which is going to create interest as well. But great line variety and mark making and expression of line, that might not be enough to carry the composition if you don't have enough blocks of darks and lights brought in. Sometimes I come in with an eraser too. It'll be hard to do today with one hand drawing. I like doing the skies because it gives you permission to invent, really. Oh wow, look at these, look at that. Look at all that up there. It gives you really permission to sort of go crazy with these strange movements. And skies are interesting because there always is this beautiful range of edge and beautiful range of scale too, because there'll be like these little things. You can sort of puddle and doodle around for a long time in the sky, and you're sort of recording and responding to what you're seeing, but you're also inventing. Like I'm sort of just kind of stream of consciousness here. It is interesting drawing things on location though, because if I was doing this at home in the studio, it is always a very different thing than this. This is somehow more immediate. It's a little bit more of a pressure cooker, actually. You have to get geared up for this. But mind you, you have to get geared up to paint at home in the studio too, so it's just a different thing. And build darks up gradually in a drawing. See, I'm looking at this, and from the phone, I really still don't have a strong enough division between this, this, and this. This is dark enough. This is getting to be darker. I don't have enough lead in my pencil right now because I should actually tighten my bit here. But I can't do it with one hand. It's all right. I'll just carry on. So I'll switch pencils because I don't have enough lead in that one. And this one is okay, I guess. But what I want to do is darken the whole thing. And why? To establish more of a contrast between this, this, and this. Ooh, getting interesting there. Some interesting formations in the land. The world will always make itself interesting just because the way one area meets another area, and we, the human animal, come around with our eye and say, look at this and look at this next to this, and just the way it all mixes in together becomes, I don't know, innately fascinating. You don't have to do much with it. It's just interesting, visually interesting because of the contrasts that happen naturally in the world. This is here's the part that's loose. I need to tighten that up. But anyways, I'll do that later after I stop. I could put it down and tighten it. But I don't want to do that. I want to keep going. You know, in order to continue doing something like drawing, like painting, whatever you're making, you have to somehow believe that, not believe even, you have to see that the making of a mark is somehow fascinating and beautiful and just interesting. Like this scribbling around is endlessly fascinating. And that's because the mark itself looks really fascinating as it comes off the pencil, as it comes off the brush. It's just entertaining. So if you're doing it, that's the first thing you have to do. You have to enjoy the way you make your marks. And you have to find them beautiful. You have to find a way to find them beautiful. You don't have to talk yourself into the fact that they're beautiful. You have to see that they are. And you have to scribble around and find out that you can make marks that are beautiful. By definition, it's not hard. But if you're all cramped up and you're somehow worried about doing this or that, or if you're worried about making art, you know, you get performance anxiety and everything turns to shit. So you need to somehow relax and enjoy it and realize that beautiful things just come out of you. You know, you don't have to try very hard. Maybe you don't even have to try at all. I don't know. Okay, that dark could still use a little more. You know, when I get close to the end of a drawing, that's when you can sort of stop and say, oh, should I do more? Should I? And you can overwork. What I'm looking at right now is still these small things in here. There are all kinds of little things there where the trees meet the ground, there are little complications. And it's not so much that you have to record them, but it's just fascinating to see them with the other thing. So that's what I'm doing there. I'm just noticing that. So I'm working small things. This texture of this here, kind of interesting. Texture of this grass. I don't know how much of that I want to do. And maybe switch to that pencil again. Where's the one that I have the dot on? The dot tells me that it's what I want. The other one that I have 3 pencils, but the other one is even harder. And sometimes it's a little too hard. I'm getting to the point where I would stop soon. I don't know how long I want to carry on doing this, but let's see if I can find a few other things to do. This area here is kind of boring at the moment, but so why I do that is I'm noticing that within this area, which is more or less a light area compared to the rest, there are still some value differences, and by putting in 1 or 2 of them, I can compose this area to some degree, give it a bit of structure. But I don't want to do too much there, because I don't want this to start competing with this. This has to look different than this, Okay, let's see, just a little bit more. Marking that up. Ooh, so nice and dark on the bottom. Sort of lost this to the sky here. Yeah. Certain point you stop. And I may stop this now, just I like how these look. These things look really cool. Wow, look how the sky's changed. All that part has disappeared now. All that part is, these crazy little curlicues have gone. I mean, they're still there, but they're not as emphatic. Okay, I'm going to stop. Take a quick look around. I'm going to stop and enjoy my coffee, which should be cold enough to drink now. These cups, by the way, are impossible to drink from when your coffee is hot. You end up scalding your face. So, take a quick look around. That's a nice view on Lakeshore, what's it called, Lakeshore Road, outside of Port Hope. There's the Wesleyville Chimney. This road goes towards County Road 9. I like it down here. There's never anybody here. Perfectly quiet. I don't know what the hell that hill is, but it looks very strange. And I've painted here many times. So, call this one done.